Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebel Nutritionist. I'm your host, Meryl Brandwine, and I'm the owner of the Brandwine Institute for Nutrition and Wellness, a holistic wellness center located in beautiful South Florida. We'll focus on nutrition, movement, and emotional balance so that when it comes to the real skinny about health, you'll have all the information you need to meet your own personal goals. We're excited to show you the way to long-term healthy living. So let's dive in and get started. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rebel Nutritionist podcast. Today, I am really excited to have on Hillary Meisner today because she and I are going to be talking about all things diabetes, insulin resistance, blood sugar dysregulation. So that is a little teaser. Like, pull up your chair, turn up the volume in your car. You are going to want to hear this podcast. So, Hillary, welcome. I'm so glad you are here today.
Thank you, Meryl. I'm so excited to be here.
So let's dive in because it was off the air. We were just talking about kind of your favorite topics and, we're both on social media. And so one of the things that you had just said is, right, you put up a recipe and you got slammed for it because one of the people who watched was like, how dare you put up a recipe with black beans, right? Like, we have become so carb phobic in this culture. So I am really excited to set the record straight with you today. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got into this.
My name is Hillary Meisner. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and a certified health coach. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got their journey. Mine really just began because I loved health and wellness and fitness, but that wasn't the path that I ended up taking through my life. It just started later on in life. I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. I had 2 pregnancies, 3 kids. So clearly I have twins with both pregnancies. So my older one, I had gestational, everything went back. My A1C was normal, all was great. With my twins, I wasn't as lucky. So I was actually considered an LADA diabetic, basically late onset diabetes. So when I was 32, my A1C started to climb. And I thought, well, okay, I'll take off 10 pounds. I'll lose weight. I'll get metabolically better and healthier. And I'll go back to being as I was. But no, my body was like, you're done. So with LADA diabetes, it's kind of like you go through a honeymoon phase and your body kind of acts like a type 2, but then you end up being insulin resistant, which is where I am now. So throughout this entire journey, one of my twins, my youngest, was diagnosed with food allergies to everything but wheat. So I really learned the importance of food as medicine and food as being supportive for your body, and how one person's, pleasure is another person's poison. And I made the decision to become certified in nutrition and wellness because there are so many people out there that don't realize how what we do as far as our, the basic pillars of health, which nutrition, physical and mental support, sleep, stress, movement, the whole package really affects how we live our lives, and how we live our lives out. And as a woman who is menopausal, as somebody who wants to be there when I have grandkids and with my kids, it's super important. And so that's actually how I got to where I am now. And I love talking about blood sugar, weight management, and how we can all just, be better in our lives. So it's finding that sweet spot between what we want to do and eat and what we need to do and eat.
Right. So let's dive into the carb conundrum, right? Because people who are diagnosed are like, all right, well, and the doctors are tell their patients, all right, well, just pick up a book on keto and follow that and, do that and stay away from every carb on the planet. And, then what happens is these people end up eating all the protein and all the fat. And that ends up being worse. It ends up being worse for our liver to do all of that. We need the nutrients in our vegetables, in our root vegetables, in our fruits. Yes, I said it, fruit. To really support our health overall. So yeah, let's, talk about that. What's your experience with this whole carb dilemma? And as an expert in the field, how do you treat your clients?
Yeah, so like a lot of people come to me and they're afraid of carbs. And my first question really is, what makes you think that? Where are you getting your information? Because, like you said, on social media, we're on social media,
Hmm.
and there is a bombardment of eat this, do this, don't do this. And there are a lot of great, social media influencers who will explain and break down these videos that are, carb fearing and carb mongering. And like we brought up in the beginning, and you just said, like, I put up a recipe for black bean brownies and I got slammed with comments about beans. And yes, beans in the diabetic world are a carb. They can be a protein for the vegetarian world, but it's quantity, it's quality, it's pairing, it's also the movement that you're doing. If you're doing a Zumba class and then you're doing some strength training thereafter, those carbs are going to carry you through with your energy because your body's not storing it.
Hmm.
Your body's using that immediate energy. So, I think the conversation needs to be more about, portion control. Because I feel like that gets people into a little bit of a pickle when it comes to their
Hmm.
blood sugar management and the right types of carbs. Because, although those fun foods, which are delicious and nutritious and they're fine at the right times, they're the problem, not the apple that you eat that's loaded with fiber and vitamins and minerals that your body craves and needs. It's not the carrots that also are, filled with fiber and the vitamins and the phytonutrients that your body needs. Eating the rainbow is cliche for kids, but it's so important for adults that we do this and get in all these foods, because these foods, they help with whatever we're doing in our lives. They help us sleep better hydration. That was, I think, another pillar that I forgot to mention,
Right.
hydration. Even in the winter, like I'm in New York, and it's not something that's in the forefront in the winter, like hydrate, but you're in hot air, you need to hydrate. And all these factors, they just
Yeah.
play in. So, when somebody comes to me and they've been on a keto protocol and they're exhausted and they're just tired and they're burnt out, and then sometimes they go overboard and then they eat too much and they eat too much of the bad things, and then they start rolling back into all these bad habits per se. And it's not so much that it's well, what I'm trying to say is it's more of deprivation
Hmm.
that you're leading to an overconsumption later on. So when you learn how to factor in the foods you love, and like I said, find that sweet spot, you'll be much better off in the long run.
Right. And that's such a great point. All of that. We talk about the pillars of health as well. And same thing, right? You've got to have that foundation. And I think that's where working with people, it is always about, like you said, it's individual. And anybody who thinks you can just pull a snippet off of TikTok and a snippet off of Instagram and come up with oh, this is my eating plan, and have it be effective and have it really support their health is completely fooling themselves. And so looking at all those factors that come into play, like you said, I mean, we know that if you move your body after you eat, and it doesn't have to be a lot of activity, it could be, I think that it show like 5 to 10 minutes of moving after you eat helps disperse blood sugar. Is that true?
Yeah, like if you take a walk, if you're somebody that is either a biohacker, so you have a CGM, or if you have diabetes and you're wearing a CGM, take a walk after you eat and watch your blood sugar come down. I mean, there are times where, as a type 1, I have to act as my own pancreas, and I've miscalculated and my blood sugar goes up. I'll get on my treadmill and I'll go for a walk, or I'll pick up the pace a little bit, and I don't have to give myself some more insulin because my body is using the glucose that's there for the energy, and my blood sugar comes down naturally. So there are all these factors. And yes, you don't have to do, an intense hit workout to get your blood sugar
Right.
down, but moving your body every day is so supportive. I mean, aside from blood sugar, but like heart health and everything else, weight management, brain health, like getting out in nature, all these things, just completely supportive of health and wellness in general.
Right. But right. And yeah, and we can address activity, but I'm just saying, even for a short, brief stint, right? You eat some lunch, go outside, move your body. You eat dinner, now that it's lighter later, go move your body a little bit. It will help. Like you said, it'll help regulate that blood sugar
Yeah.
without having to like go exercise, right? And without having to add more insulin into your body.
I mean,
And
I'm sorry. I've
yeah,
suggested to clients, I'm like, if you're brushing your teeth, you don't have to exercise in one fell swoop. If you're brushing your teeth, some people have what's called Dawn syndrome, and their blood sugar goes up automatically in the morning just by waking up. Your body is just getting you ready for the day, giving you some energy. So I'm like, do some squats while you're brushing your teeth.
I
Just
love
get
that.
your body moving. And before you know it, you have like 30 minutes of exercise done for the day.
Right.
You've done your squats, you park your car a little bit further, and all that helps your blood sugar throughout the day. And you'll see a difference. It might not be like, a huge difference to start, but you'll notice as you do it more and more, your blood sugar numbers will be more in range and you'll see more target numbers
Absolutely.
than
Yeah.
if you don't.
Right. Right. And that's so true. And I think the other thing that we also really need to touch on, and I'm kind of back into this because I do want to go back to the food part and that, but I think one thing that people underestimate or don't consider enough is stress, because stress, oh, I'm putting the thumbs up. I'm supposed to turn off my my emojis. Stress will increase blood sugar because all of these chemicals, the adrenaline, cortisol, all of those things will affect blood sugar, correct?
Correct. Correct. When you don't sleep well, I mean, even for somebody that isn't diabetic or somebody that isn't thinking about their insulin resistance on a daily basis, when you don't sleep well, you feel lethargic. And what does that lead to? That doesn't lead to you cooking yourself a healthy meal. It's like, what can I grab and get?
Right.
So having in your arsenal ideas of like grabbing a rotisserie chicken or pre-chopped vegetables at the market on your way home from work is far better for your blood sugar than going and getting some fast food that has added sugars. And we as a society eat way too much added sugars in our diet. And a lot of it's hidden, that we don't even realize it's there. Dressings, sauces, foods are prepared with sugar because it just makes it taste better. And that's how, we want to eat more, and restaurants will sell more of their food when it tastes better.
Right, right. Well, and it's not only does it have the sugar in it, it has the fats in it as well. All of those
Yeah.
processed fats, and those are so bad for us and bad for our gut and all of that. So, I think going back to the foundation for a second, we also have to make sure. So, we want to make sure that we are looking at all those pillars. We're looking at stress and how that implicates our blood sugar. We're looking at sleep and how that implicates. And then we're looking at movement. And one thing I want to mention about movement that I think especially is so important for women and women as they age, right? Because it doesn't matter at what age you have insulin resistance or diabetes or whatever it is, you have to develop muscle, right? There's a lot of talk about women now and resistance training, Gabriella Lyons all over that, right? And JJ Virgin and all these people, which is great because they're getting it out. But you know, by and large, I don't think most women are really in doing weights. I was going to say in the gym, but you don't have to be in the gym, right? Or doing weights enough to create the muscle. And what muscle does for us in blood sugar management is it helps absorb, if you will. I mean, that's not the right biochemistry, but for our intents and purposes, right? It helps bear the brunt of some of the sugar. It absorbs it and it holds it. And so how do you advise your clientele about exercise, resistance exercise? I mean, I'm sure we're on the same page here, but what's that conversation you're having with them?
I think it's one of the most important things. that anyone can do for their body is incorporate strength training. However you want to do it. You know, you could go onto YouTube and Google hotel workouts, and it's people in their hotel rooms using just their body weight.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, there are going to be people that have never worked out before, and of course, you know, have to get clearance with their doctor as far as what they can do. But there's a level for everybody. There's resistance bands that people can start with, which is just,
Yep.
even if
The
you're
rubber
immobile,
bands.
sitting in a chair, just pulling on the bands, and the more, like you just said, the more muscle mass we have, the more effective our glucose uptake will be. So one of the ways I kind of describe it is like, you build your muscle, and your muscle is kind of like that engine to move some glucose where it's not going to sit and go into like you know, it's just not gonna raise your blood sugar, because your muscle is gonna be using it, because as we use our muscles during the day, they're taking the energy.
Right.
So all different levels of strength training, from, you know, a body weight workout to light weights and bands at home, to like a playground, going to a playground. There's equipment on a playground. There's just so many variables. I mean, I'm someone that I used to go to a gym. I used to do the hardcore. I was an Orange Theory devotee, but I was always, you know, I always did Beachbody at home because I liked the
Mhm.
convenience of it.
Right.
And for me, that works. That is my routine. But I have a dog, and I get out there, and I go out with my dog, and I go for an extra walk with him. It's good for him. It's good for me. You know, and let's say, you know, here's another example. Like, you're walking your dog. You could do lunges as you're walking your dog. There's all different ways to incorporate it. But yeah, strength training is super important. And it goes along with, you know, and here comes another thing. It goes back to the carbs,
Right.
because when you work out, you're going to need a level of carbs in your body, and choosing you know, you've got your good, better, and best. So choose the best. Have an apple, have some berries, you know, have some melons. We're in New York, we're coming into spring, so more and more fruits and
Right.
vegetables are going to be coming. Pick what's at the farmer's market. Go to the farmer's market, pick what's fresh, and go from there. And just the transition that your body has and how you feel overall. The one thing I see my clients go from when they go from A to B is not only, you know, a better blood sugar, A1C, but it's also, they say, I'm sleeping better, I'm
Mhm.
feeling better. And they didn't realize that they weren't feeling great before, because
Right.
now they're feeling
So much
amazing,
better. So,
right? And I'm sure you
yeah.
see this too.
Oh, 100%. I have a woman. She's a little older. I'd say she's in her 70s, right? So, not old, just a little older. And she's been on medications, and she is diabetic. And you know, her hemoglobin A1C started, I want to say it was like 6.7. We've now got her down to 6, so it's amazing. And I want to say in, you know, 8 weeks. I mean, she's made a huge shift, right? She is
Right.
exercising. And so it's never, you know, never say never. You're never too old to make these changes. I think that's, you know, part of the conversation, is that people just write themselves off as they get older, like, oh, there's nothing I can do. Well, there's a ton you can do, number one. And number two, just to kind of tag on to the what you said about the muscle. So I want to say muscle acts like a sponge for sugar, right? For the gluten, is like the more muscle you have, the more your body is going to utilize in the right way. And that's what I think people really need to understand, is that muscle is so vital to our metabolism. And so, you know, you said it, I'm just tagging on to that. So let's talk a little bit then about when you're, because what people really want is some takeaway, right? We're saying, okay, well, let's not demonize carbs. Let's not go into the keto. Well, give us, and again, this is sort of just an example because everybody's situation is different, but give us an example of like what, when you said good, better, best, right? Give us an example of that, and kind of what do people want to look at when you're, you know, talking to them about doing some of the meal planning. You know, I always say to people, say to me, well, what do you eat? And I'm like, I eat a banana in the morning. And they look at me like, a banana? Like, you eat a banana? Oh my God. You know, I'm like, bananas never, you know, made anyone fat, right? That is not the reason our blood sugars are off. That is not the reason you can't lose weight. It is not from the banana people, right? So let's let's talk about, how when you're meeting with someone and let's say they're really just lost and what take us through kind of that process of how are you talking to them?
So the first step is I ask for a food and mood journal, like just 3 days. It could be a bombardment of texts.
Mhm.
Just get me what you're eating and the time and how you feeling when you're eating because
Right.
blood sugar, when somebody is like focused on blood sugar, they're not thinking about digestion. And our bodily systems are all connected. We are all connected. And if you think of it like a sailboat, where if one bodily system is off, it's going to lean on another.
Mhm.
So let's try and figure out where we are and what needs to be worked on. But 99% of the time, somebody's coming to me, it's because of the blood sugar.
Right.
So we start with the blood sugar. I look at what they're eating, and what I'm looking for is gaps. Are you getting enough omega-3s, which are, your olive oil, your salmon, your nuts, or are you eating too much of the omega-6s, which is more of the other oils? And we need a combination of both,
Mhm.
but people don't get enough of the omega-3. So I look for that. Like, can we add in a little more olive oil into what we're cooking with? How are we cooking? I look at their moods because a lot of times when, like I was saying, like when you're tired or you're crabby, you're looking for that afternoon pick me up and you're going to, your favorite coffee shop and you're getting that latte, which is,
Mhm.
30 carbs and 250 calories. And you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know why the scale's not moving. I don't know why my blood sugar is so high. Well, here could be one of the reasons. So I look for those little things. Then I'll ask my clients, well, where are you willing to start? What are you willing to give to
Mhm.
me? Like where can we start pulling from? Because change happens when change happens. And if you stay stagnant, you will stay stagnant.
Right.
And that's a concept that I feel people are so that it's hard for them to let go of something.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot of, yeah, not to interrupt you, but I think this is a good segue
resistance,
too.
yeah.
There's a lot of resistance, right? I mean, people get stuck in their belief system, people get stuck in their stories. I find half the time it's breaking that. It's getting people to get out of their own way and what they were told. Science and technology has evolved so quickly that we really know so much more than we did in the 90s, in the 80s, right? In the 80s, I mean, remember it was all that fat,
Low
green
fat.
stuff, and we were
Everything
eating
was low fat.
right, and it messed everybody up. And now, right? So I feel like you've got to get out of your own way to some degree, and yes, defer to the experts because we're doing the work, we're doing the research, we're doing the right research. Also, you've got to be so careful. I mean, the research. I was just listening to an amazing a video whatever podcast Tucker Carlson did about research. It was fascinating. Anyway, don't want to divert that, but so you have to be careful on what research you're paying attention to. But those of us that
Mhm.
are doing the work, like we've got to get our clients out of their own way, shift the belief system, start to make these slow changes. So sorry, I just kind of wanted to
Yeah.
tag that on there. So go ahead.
No, but it's so important because, when you get hit, like, let's say you get hit with, and I know this annoys you too, when doctors say, let's watch it,
Oh,
because I know that could be a whole nother podcast.
yeah.
But when if somebody comes to me and they've already been diagnosed with diabetes, that watching it period is over. So
Ugh.
anybody listening, please most doctors don't look at, levels of insulin resistance. They
Mhm.
factor things on their A1C. Again, another podcast. But for purposes of your A1C, if your doctor is saying watch it, now is the time to make the change.
Yep.
Don't wait because when you wait, once a diabetic, always a diabetic. The metabolic damage is already being done, and it doesn't start when you start watching it. It starts beyond that. So adding in, these good healthy foods are so helpful. So okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. So we
We
start with a
tend to
food and
do
mood
that.
journal. We get to where you're willing to give a little. And it's me giving you recipes that, diabetic food is not diabetic food. I mean, I eat everything.
Mhm.
It's how I've adapted it. I host holidays. I have friends come over and they're like, "This is delicious. You can eat this." I'm like, "Yes," because food doesn't have to be bland.
Right.
Food is fabulous, and so much of our life centers around food and
Mhm.
going out to dinner. And that's another thing we talk about, like how to navigate a menu,
Right.
how restaurants use menu psychology on you when you're ordering and like looking at all these different foods and how to like enjoy yourself and enjoy the people you're with. Cause
Right.
isn't that important too? Like
100.
enjoying the people you're with. And then it's, how do we tweak what you love? And when it goes back to, I love chocolate, I will never give up chocolate. But
Yeah.
I went from eating, the high sugar chocolate with no dark chocolate in it to like 80% chocolate, which if you went from a Hershey bar to what I eat, you would be like, this is so bitter and gross.
Right.
But when you do it in stages, you realize it's delicious and it has a bit of a sweetness to it. And I put some peanut butter on it
Yeah.
and it's fabulous. It's a sweet treat. Um, Chia seed pudding is one of
Mhm.
one of my bag tricks, like, I again, with my chocolate, but I have other recipes for, like a chai or a strawberry,
Yeah.
other things, but people that like their overnight oats and need to get out of their house in the morning, but need something to eat for breakfast, well, why not a chia seed pudding? Let's talk about how to make that blood sugar friendly.
Yes.
And you're getting your back to the omega 3s, you're gonna get some omega 3s in there, or
Mhm.
you can use Zen basil seeds or something like that. It's just the good of what you're eating to how do we make it a little bit better and then get it to the best level it could be for your diet and lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, and I'm sure you experience this with your clients, if you're not going to do it, it's not going to work.
Right.
So
Right. I mean,
there
there's
has to be
no
a level of compliance.
right. There's no snapping your fingers and, oh, well, guess what? It's going to change. And we talk about change, change is hard for people. And I think what
Yeah.
happens is at least what we see, and I'm sure you see this, right? But maybe it's a little different with diabetes. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go on a 4-week plan and I'm going to lose weight. Like diabetes is okay. This is a lifelong thing. You've got to start making these changes because otherwise it will impact your health sooner rather than later. Um, and ignoring it isn't going to make it go away, and living in denial isn't going to make it go away. And like you said, making the changes, I think that's what I really want people to hear is it doesn't have to be in one fell swoop, right? Like, oh my God, we're going to do this and I got to redo my entire life today. It
Yeah.
really can be incremental and done
Mhm.
deliberately and intentionally. And it should be collaboratively. It's not do this because I say you need to do this. It's do this because you want to make an impact in your health.
1,000%. And it's like, people will say, just tell me what to do.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
Okay. And like you said, well, what do you eat in a day? And I actually did on my Instagram a what I eat in the day, but I put a disclaimer. This is what I eat. It
Right.
doesn't mean it's right for you. But I don't like doing that.
I
It's
don't either.
what do you eat in a day? And how are we going to tweak that so we can lower your A1C, so we can get rid of the menopausal middle, so we can get you back into feeling good in your clothes? Because it's not about, your jean size. It's not about the number on the scale.
No.
It's about how you feel mentally. And yes, putting on the pair of jeans that you had from 10 years ago might feel great, but if you're starving yourself to get there and you feel physically miserable and you're not sleeping well, what is it worth? It's
Yeah.
having glowing skin. It's all about figuring out that lifestyle and going back to those pillars time and time again.
Oh, yeah.
And 100%, it's not doing it all at once, because if you look at it all at once, you get this giant mountain and you'll never get to the top. But where are you willing to start? Are you willing to start with food? Are you willing to start with hydration? Are you willing to start with exercise? Because if you come to me and you were like, okay, let's get the A1C down, it could be just something simple as going back to working out and building muscle
Yeah.
and not even touching your diet yet, if that's not where you're willing to go.
Right.
Because again, if you're not willing to make those changes, nothing that we talk about is going
Going.
to resonate or you're going to implement. And I'm not the one at the end of the call who's going to be having to figure out those changes in my day. I'm going to help you map it out,
Yeah.
but I'm not I'm doing it already. You have to do it, and
Yeah.
you have to be willing to figure out how to get it in there.
Right, and you have to commit to yourself. So I'm going to open up a total can of worms right now. Talk about all the GLP-1s, right? People want, right, the semaglutides, the Ozempic, the Wegovy, blah, blah, blah. Like people want the quick fix. I get that, right? But you can't stay on these things forever, or at least that's not the intention. And so what are you seeing on your end? Because I know what we see here, right? But I mean, how are you dealing with this?
So, I think it's twofold on the GLP-1s. I really do. I think that there's a huge benefit for the community that needs it.
Yep.
And I think that the community that is buying it for the quick fix is hurting the community that needs it. Because
100%.
when a type 2 diabetic cannot get the Ozempic that they need because people are buying up Ozempic and Mongiorno, what have you, because they're buying it, cash out of pocket because they can afford it, which is great. But when you have a diabetic who's now stressing, which is elevating their blood sugar
Yeah.
because they cannot get their medication because these pens come in certain levels of doses, and you don't just start at like the highest dose. You have to
Right.
titrate up because you would, I mean, not getting into the science behind it, but it would really throw your body into a big tizzy.
Yeah.
So you've got to titrate up. But when I hear people getting so frustrated that they can't get their medication, it saddens me
Yeah.
and it hurts me for these people because it's very unfortunate. And like you said, I do know people that have been on these medications for well over a year
Mhm.
without medical conditions. They're doing it for weight loss. So that Pandora's box of, okay, so now you've got the weight off. What happens now when you come off the medication? And this
Mhm.
goes for both sides. This goes
Oh,
for
yeah.
the people that need it and the people that want it. If you're not going to a dietitian, a nutritionist, a nutritional therapy practitioner, somebody who has skills in helping you eat, because you are going to gain weight when you go off the
Oh,
medication.
yeah.
Your body is going to start, your digestion is going to start. I guess the best way to say it would be rev up again. And you're going to get hungry again. And it's okay to put on a little weight again. But how do you eat now for the new you?
Yeah.
Or now your A1C is in range and you're off the medication. How do you eat for the new you? So if there's not a nutritional or lifestyle component to your team, I think you're missing out. And I
100%. Yeah.
think you're gonna go backwards. And these peptide medications have been around for a long time, and I know there's a lot of clinical studies on them. But the blow up of the GLP-1s and the blow up of the weight loss and what people are seeing, we don't know what's going to happen down the road. But the one thing from a nutrition standpoint that I can see among my friends and clients is that they're not getting that nutritional support.
Right.
It's like, "Oh, I'm not hungry." But if you're still eating still ordering the giant thing of mashed potatoes with the cheesy burger on the bun, and you're not,
And you're
not saying that it's bad to have fries and burgers on a bun. It's just, how are you going to incorporate having some salad with that? How are you going
right.
to incorporate having some greens with that? How are you going to incorporate adding in some fruit with that? Like the balance. What I'm trying to say is just learn, if you're going on a medication without learning how to eat, you're going to end up back where you started.
100, but bingo, poof, that was it. Right? I mean, so yeah, this is not, and look, there is appropriate reasons to be on it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have people on it, and exactly like you said, the people that should be on it and can't get it, that's a shame. Um and that, yes, these things can help with inflammation, they can help with the comorbidities of what goes on in the world of, diabetes or whatever that is, but or insulin resistance, right? But again, to lean on this as the crutch and not change your lifestyle, that is the travesty here, is that we are just leaning into diet culture and going on another roller coaster quick fad thing. And then people who want to have longevity, people who want to live a long, healthy life, just because you are thin doesn't mean that that is the association, that there's that it is going to, cause you to have a long life. And so I think we really misconstrue thinness for health. And nothing could be farther from the truth, because I know we both know people who have lost weight yet are so unhealthy.
There's a grandma on Instagram that she's a bodybuilder, and she started bodybuilding in her late 60s. She is a rock star. These ladies, they're inspirations to show that you
Yeah.
can start at any time, and being thin is not the same as being strong.
Right.
And being strong is what's going to take you longer in life. It's what's going to help stave off any, or help you should you be diagnosed with something that is serious. Your strength, physical, mental, emotional strength, the whole big, the big ball of it is what's going to help you through it. And
Yeah.
you know, it, it's all woven together in this tapestry, that looking at just diet and looking at how do I get thinner, and with these drugs, like there's Ozempic face, because people, when they're losing their
Oh,
muscle,
yeah.
you've got to keep, especially if you're on these drugs,
Yeah.
working out and building your body and strengthening your body
Yes.
in always.
Yes. Yeah, and I love that, right? Don't yeah, we women need to be strong. I think part of that is that belief system of women who grew up in the 80s and the 70s, of that like twiggy mentality, the thinner we are. I mean, I'm so happy to see girls in the gym, these young girls who are like pushing weight, and they've got, legs, and they've got a butt. Like, yes, you go, right? I mean, first of all, women can't get big anyway. I think, we all think like, oh, I'm going to put on a little bit of muscle and I look bad. I mean, to me, muscle hangs way better on clothes than just, that than a beanpole, right? You look definitely better. But forget about how you look, how you feel in your own skin. I always say, the fact that I am strong and I can go into the gym and hold my own and feel good about how I finally feel in my skin is priceless. And
100%.
and that is the key. It's being strong. It's being able to hold your own weight. It's being able to withstand your own body weight so you don't fall and break a bone. Like all of these things that are so important that go beyond just the aesthetics. It's just beyond the how do I look? It's what is my body doing on the inside? Because, I want to be that bodybuilder when I'm 80. So, yeah, great conversation. And I think, again, the moral of the story is, we both preach the same thing in terms of you've got to address everything. It's never, I think, again, we tend to think it's nutrition plus exercise equals X, and it's not.
It's not. You're missing sleep, you're missing stress. You're missing, and the nuances that come with it all.
Yeah,
And that whole picture, once all those little puzzle pieces, and that's our job, right? It's the client's job to come to us and say, this is what I want to work on. And it's our job to say, okay, I see your puzzle, and
yeah,
I'm going to help you put it back together. You are going to do the puzzle. I'm just your guide to get you there.
absolutely.
And that, it's our job to see those loopholes. And that, I think, the more people realize the holistic look of nutrition and wellness, and the more the medical community comes over to the holistic side of looking at the person as a whole, I think the better we're going to be as a society. We will see, this is
Mhm.
obviously opinion, but I think we'll see, diseases come down. We'll see obesity come down. We have an obesity epidemic.
Oh, it's
We have a
horrible.
diabetic epidemic.
Yeah, we are in a horrific obesity epidemic. It is just getting worse. And, look, I always say it's big pharma, big food, big government. I mean, that's just the reality. And none of those big three are on your side. Whether you want to hear it or not, that is the reality of this. And so they want to keep you sick so that they can keep prescribing medications. They want to keep you fat, so you keep eating eating their crappy food. And the government is not looking out for your best interest. They're just not. And so part of the, like when you said, well, it's, how do we collaborate with physicians? I mean, physicians are sort of get the rough end of the stick in a way because they're under the gun to see more people. And so they're not taking time to really invest in your health. So I feel like, yes, we need to be a loud voice to be able to help these people navigate and heal through this.
Yeah. Physicians don't have a box to check for nutrition. So
Right.
they don't have the time to talk to you because they're not going to be able to get reimbursed
Right.
by insurance for it. Because, you get that form and that's what they're doing. They're saying, this is why I was seeing this person. They can send you to someone.
Hmm.
Um, but it's unfortunate that their toolbox ends with a pill.
Yeah.
Their toolbox ends with starting on metformin because that's the first
Mhm.
medication that they typically prescribe. And then they'll add on another medication. But it goes back to, if you're not meeting with someone about nutrition, then you're going to need another medication on top of that because
Exactly.
your cholesterol is still going to climb. Your triglycerides are still going to climb. Your A1C is may come down because now you're on these medications, but it's the medications that are working hard for you instead of you, again, making some changes so the
Right.
medications can work smarter, not harder.
Harder. And
And
having to up the dose and up the dose. So,
yeah. And then eventually metformin stops working and then you're on to the next one.
yes.
But if a doctor says to you, we're going to start you on metformin, what can you do as far as your food? What can you do as far as your hydration? What can you
Yes.
do as far as your movement? Like, how can you now make changes? And that should be part of the conversation that physicians can have.
Yes.
Go talk to somebody and make changes. Make changes in the food you're eating, make changes in your lifestyle, however you want to start. Here's some pillars of health, pick one and go for it.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
that's gonna help. That's gonna help because medications look, if I was not on insulin, I wouldn't be here.
Well, of
Medications are
course.
important, but in some cases, they're Band-Aids. So let's get to that root of why are you becoming insulin resistant?
Mhm.
As we age, and I know people don't like hearing this, as we age, insulin resistance does climb
Mhm.
naturally. So, how do you combat that? What are the signs that you're seeing in your body? What are the changes that your body is sending you? So you can, you know, figure out what's going to be best as far as a mental and physical shift.
Absolutely. And it's those small shifts one at a time. And I think that is the message. Empower yourself to make the changes slowly and deliberately at your pace, and you'll start to really see the changes. This is not about doing it all at once. And I really
Mhm.
want people to understand that this is not a race. This is the longevity of it is the marathon, and it's the journey, and each small step is a step in a positive direction. So thank you for your knowledge, your input. Just I think I love these conversations, and appreciate your insight into all of it. So thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on. Loved it.
Any last words that you want to leave us with?
Just, that people should just take that 5-minute look introspectively into their lives and look at the symptoms that they have, the signals that their body is sending them, because this is your body communicating with you. And at the end of the day, you know you best. So figure out how to live your best life by using that as your guide.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Hillary. This was great. And I
Thanks,
look
Mara.
forward to more engaging discussions with you.
Would love that.
Yes. All right, everyone. This is your Rebel Nutritionist signing off. We'll have Hillary's contact information. Also, we will do, for anybody that has any questions about any of this, remember we do a complimentary 15-minute consultation. I'm sure Hillary offers something similar, and anybody who wants to pick her brain as well. And we look forward to connecting with you. Make it a great day.